Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It always feels better to me when we have a few moments for prayer and reflection and particularly singing together. And I think so important in these days and times. This week's Torah portion, Ki Tisa, is very important and has very important and clear instructions that are given to Moses and Aaron and the priests. In Exodus chapter 30, beginning in verse 17, it says, "You shall also make a laver of brass, and the base thereof of brass, where they shall wash. And you shall put it between the tent of meeting and the altar, and you shall put water inside of it. And Aaron and his sons shall wash their hands and their feet. When they go into the tent of meeting, they shall wash with water, that they die not. Or when they come near to the altar to minister, causing an offering made by fire to smoke to Adonai, so they shall wash their hands and their feet, that they die not, and it shall be a statute forever to them, even to them and to their descendants throughout their generations. Not once, but twice, wash your hands." Our ancestors knew. They knew that to offer sacrifices to God, some of which would indeed become food for the priests and the people, that clean hands matter. Yes, cleanliness is next to godliness. Unfortunately, for many people, we have to say these basic things over and over again. We are learning this in new and important ways during this coronavirus epidemic. Netilat Yadayim is what we Jews call the ritual of hand washing. And like most things Jewish, there is a bracha, a blessing for it. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, al netilat yadayim, hands. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, source of the universe, who has sanctified us through your commandments and has commanded us concerning the washing of hands. Now, the phrase netilat yadayim actually means not washing, but to lift up the hands, as if you were lifting them up in prayer, in praise, in thanksgiving. And you're supposed to recite this bracha, this blessing, when you wash your hands. First thing in the morning, when you wake up, another Jewish halachic legal requirement, and of course, before eating a meal with any kind of bread. Now, there are other times and occasions when we are commanded to wash our hands, sometimes without a bracha, without a blessing. For example, meals without bread. And after a meal, it's called mayim achronim, last waters. Perhaps you've noticed when people wash their hands as they leave a cemetery or enter a funeral house. No blessing there, but washing for sure. When you're near someone who has died, and if you've ever been in a more traditional synagogue, before the priestly benediction, there's a custom to wash the hands of the priests. Our ancestors believed these physical rites were really part of the spiritual requirements to be spiritually pure. In this process, the emphasis on hand washing and even sometimes foot washing was a boon for our people before we all knew about Louis Pasteur's germ theory. It helped our people survive. It helped them survive other plagues in other times. As Donald McNeil wrote in a New York Times article in 2009, in medieval Europe, Jews were blamed so often and so viciously that it is surprising it was not called the Jewish death. During the pandemic's peak in Europe from 1348 to 1351, more than 200 Jewish communities were wiped out, their inhabitants accused of spreading contagion or poisoning wells. You see, the Jews didn't die necessarily of the Black Plague, but instead were murdered by pogrom, because the Jews were healthier than the general population. In part, It is because of Nitilat Yadayim, because of this commandment to wash our hands. You might say they washed them religiously. Here's a snippet about hand washing from the important Jewish legal code composed by Jacob ben Asher, who was born in Cologne in 1270 and died in Toledo, Spain in 1340. His famous legal code, called the Tur, says this about Nitilat Yadayim. One should wash their hands clean and recite the blessing. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who sanctified us with mitzvot and commanded us concerning hand washing, the prayer that we just already mentioned. But he continues, one should be exacting in pouring over the hand 3 times on account of the evil spirit, the ruach ra'ah, alighting upon the hands prior to washing, which is not vitiated until one has poured over them 3 times. Therefore, one needs to refrain from, listen to this, touching with his hand prior to washing the mouth, the nose, the ears, the eyes, on account of these evil spirits alighting upon them. But if no one has water, they should wipe their hands with a stone chip or any type of wiping implement and recite the blessing concerning Nitilat Yadayim. Remember, 1270 to 1340 could sound like it came from the LA County Department of Health today. Don't touch your face. Don't touch your nose. Don't touch your ears. Wash your hands for 20 seconds at least. Say the blessing, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim. Guess what, friends? It works. The attention to detail, which mirrors the advice of medical counsel we receive today, helped save the lives of our ancestors in days past. And it's time to heed it again in these days of the coronavirus. It is a mitzvah to wash your hands, a commandment to wash your hands. Do it, and do it religiously. There is so much, believe it or not, written about this notion of ritual hand washing. In the later Jewish code, the Shulchan Aruch, written by Joseph Caro and later Moshe Isserles, says, the following things require washing hands in water after them. One who rises from bed, who goes out of the bathroom or the bathhouse, one who cuts his nails, takes off his shoes, touches his feet, or washes his head, and some say also who will go among the dead or touch the dead, one who cleanses his clothes of life, sexual intercourse, touches a louse, touches his body with his hand. Anyone doing any of these things and not washing his hands, if he is a scholar, his studies are forgotten. And if he is not a scholar, he goes out of his mind. This is the rabbi's way to reiterate how very important it is to wash our hands. They didn't really mean it literally, but it might make you crazy if you didn't do it. So what could be worse for a Torah scholar? What bigger threat could there be than to forget the Torah? This was the rabbi's way of emphasizing, don't forget about this very holy and important act. My friends, there is so much uncertainty now and fear. So much we can't control as a virus rages among us. It's unseen, like the evil spirits that the rabbis wrote about of medieval times. But we can control some things. We can control our response to it. And we can respond with our Jewish moral imperatives. Wash our hands. Do it religiously. And celebrate it with a bracha, a blessing. Thank God with a prayer and literally lift up our hands, netilat yadayim, in blessing. Rabbi Yehuda bar Nachmani wrote in the Talmud in Tractate Ketubot, when asked to make a statement on behalf of his entire congregation, he offered this prayer. Ribon ha'olamim, Master of the worlds, Redeem and save and rescue and deliver your people, Israel, from the pestilence and from the sword, from the spoil and from the blight, from the mildew and from all types of afflictions that suddenly erupt and come to the world. You, before we call, you are already responding. Blessed are you, Adonai, who halts the plague. May this be our prayer too, and may these days of uncertainty come quickly to an end. May God heal all those afflicted and ill. May God protect all our doctors and nurses and caretakers who are providing healing and comfort. And may each of us, may we turn to the Holy One, the source of strength, goodness, and blessing, to ease our own anxieties, our own fears, and our own troubles. And let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom.